California, the Golden State, was first explored by Europeans in the 16th century when Spanish explorers began traversing the Pacific coastline, which was referred to as Alta California. Believe it or not, the name California can be traced directly back to the chivalrous romances written in the wake of the popularity of the Arthurian legends, which refers to the body of works spanning centuries which chronicle the adventures of King Arthur and his court. Originating in Celtic mythic history, Arthurian literature inspired tales of forbidden courtly loves and lordly knights of noble stock. One such story in this legacy is Amadis of Gaul, or in Spanish Amadis de Gaula. The exact origins of this post-Arthurian story are murky, however the earliest edition comes to us in Castilian Spanish from a 15th century writer named Garci Rodriguez de Montalvo. He spent years translating and transcribing Amadis de Gaula into Castilian from Portuguese, a theme for 15th century Spanish readers. In Las Surgas de Esplandian's Muslim enemies are joined by an unusual character by the name of Queen Calafia. It is believed by modern linguists that Calafia's name is meant to reflect the Arabic word Khalifa or Caliph, referring to a religious leader. Queen Calafia is described as a fierce woman with dark skin and clothed in gold who hails from an island called California. Know that to the right hand of the Indies was an island called California, very near to the region of the terrestrial paradise, which was populated by black women, without there being any men among them, that almost like the Amazons was their style of living. These were of vigorous bodies and strong and ardent hearts and of great strength. The island itself the strongest in steep rocks and great boulders that is found in the world. Their arms were all of gold, and also the harnesses of the wild beasts on which, after having tamed them, they rode. That in all the island there was no other metal whatsoever. They dwelt in caves very well hewn, they had many ships in which they went out to other parts to make their forays, and the men they seized they took with them, giving them their deaths, as you will further hear. And sometimes when they had peace with their adversaries, they intermixed with all security one with another, and there were carnal unions from which many of them came out pregnant, and if they gave birth to a female they kept her, and if they gave birth to a male, then he was killed. On this island, called California, there are many griffins, and in the time that they had young, these women would take them to their caves, and there raise them. And they fattened them on those men and the boys that they had born. Any male that entered the island was killed and eaten by them. There ruled on that island of California, a queen great of body, very beautiful for her race, at a flourishing age, desirous in her thoughts of achieving great things, valiant in strength, cunning in her brave heart, more than any other who had ruled that kingdom before her, Queen Calafia. So well known, in fact, was Montalvo's work, that it is mentioned in the much more well-known Don Quixote. So, when early Spanish explorers came to California, they were evidently quite familiar with Calafia and the book from which she originates. Further inspiration for the California name is owed to the belief that the age of exploration would yield a terrestrial paradise. This belief is reflected in myths like that of El Dorado and is found in important European literature dating back to the very start of the age of exploration, such as Thomas More's Utopia, which described a perfect society across the Atlantic Ocean in the New World.